Hello friends, myself Dr. Mayur Saida, and in this video we are going to discuss about hypersensitivity reaction. Let's understand the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, how it is different than the type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. So in the type 1 hypersensitivity reaction, the antigen was free but antibody was bound. But in case of the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, antigen is fixed and antibody is free into the circulation. Opposite of the type 1 hypersensitivity reaction, into the type 1 the antigen was free, moving, or it may be outside. But into the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, antigen is fixed. Let's take an example and understand the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. So we all know myasthenia gravis. What occurs in case of the myasthenia gravis? So our muscle cells having acetylcholine receptors, and into the myasthenia gravis these antibodies are formed against these receptors. And if the antibodies are bound with the acetylcholine receptors, acetylcholine cannot bound with these acetylcholine receptors, so that the muscle contractions are reduced and they reach at particular stage when they are paralyzed. So what occur in this type 2 hypersensitivity reaction? These acetylcholine receptors, they works like an antigen. They are basically antibody generator. So definition of the antigen is a antibody generator. So these acetylcholine receptors have generated the antibody against them, an antibody which are formed in response to the antigen. They are bound over there, so that the acetylcholine cannot work over that part, and acetylcholine cannot bound. So in this type, the antigen, these receptors are fixed, but these antibodies are freely moving into the circulation. That's why it is known as the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. Let's take the another example. Into the kidney, into the glomerular basement membrane. Into the glomerular basement membrane. There are some glycolipids, or they are works as an antigen, and when the antibodies are found, they can produce a nephritic syndrome. Yes. So in this case, the antigens are fixed onto the kidney's glomerulus, and antibodies are free. That's why it is also known as the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. In any condition, in any tissue, any organ, when the antigens are there over fixed and the antibodies are circulating, just like in rheumatoid arthritis also, the antibodies are formed against the bacteria, but those antibody also cross reacts with to the heart, into the heart also with the valves they are cross reacting, and they are damaging to the heart valve, rheumatoid arthritis. That is also considered as the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. Let's take the another example of the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. Erythroblastosis fetalis, in which the mother is Rh negative and the baby is Rh positive. Then during the first delivery there is no problem, but as the antigens of the baby have crossed the placenta and the mother's blood has produced the IgG antibody against the Rh positive blood, then during the second delivery and onto the second time also, if the baby is Rh positive, then those antigen onto the surface of the RBC, which are Rh antigen, and these mother's blood, there is a presence of the IgG antibody. Those will cross the placenta and they bind with the blood cells of the baby and do the lysis of the RBC. that is known as the erythroblastosis fetalis. In this also the baby's RBC, the surface, Rh antigen, they are the bound, and the antibodies which are IgG present into the mother's blood, they are free, and as the placenta IgG can cross, that will produce the lysis of the RBC, which can lead into the hydrops fetalis, edematous body of the baby, as well as it may produce the jaundice, and intrauterine death can also occur. That is also the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction. We will also learn the type 3 and the type 4 hypersensitivity reaction into the next video.